Hi there, it's Kim Baker, and today I want to share this fun Hexagon pop-up card. Now it folds flat when you want to send it to someone, but then they can pop it up. It is featuring the host set at the pond, and I've seen a few versions out there of this card, but none of them were the A2 and fit in our regular medium white envelopes. So I reconfigured the dimensions so that I could get them in the A2 envelope and not have to reinvent the wheel. I know it's easy to make an envelope, but still, it was a challenge, and I took it and ran with it. So let's get started on how to do this fun pop-up mechanism. So I started with two 3 3/4 by 5.5 pieces of balmy blue cardstock, and they are scored at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 3.5 inches, and 5 inches. Okay, and so the first thing we need to do is we need to get a pencil and mark on our first score lines from each end. We want to mark 7/8 of an inch in. So all four corners need to be 7/8 of an inch in. Probably hear my clock ticking when it gets quiet, huh? Okay. I should have done one ahead of time, but I started my video and then I think of these things. So I guess it's just going to get quiet when I have to, think or measure. Random thoughts for the day while we're measuring. It is very chilly and rainy today. Today is, February 22nd in 2003. So I guess for February I'd rather have rain than snow. It sounds like Minnesota's getting walloped with snow. Okay, so all four corners. Now we're going to bring in our cutting tool, our paper trimmer, and all I'm going to do is line up this second score line with each dot. Okay. Again, second score line, our pencil mark. I hope you can see that clearly on the camera. So your piece ends up looking like that. And you're going to do that to both pieces. Second score line, pencil mark. You can see that through the track. I'm just making sure that that pencil line, that pencil dot, is right in the center of my track. Time consuming, right? But so worth it in the end. Okay. Now that that's finished, we are going to cut slits in both of these. And they don't have to be perfect, but I like to get them as close as possible. So I tend to take my ruler that's already disappeared. That's what happens when you have a clear ruler, right? You can't see through it. So I like to try to center it as much as possible. That looks pretty good. I usually measure between the lines too, but I'm not going to get all that crazy. Ooh, I almost marked the same one twice. We only need it once. I think that's close enough. And then I just have an X-Acto knife, and this is a magnetic board, but you don't need any of that. You can just do that freehand. And I just cut about 1/2 inch wide. And just go scoot it over just a tad. It's probably going to be a little wide, but that's okay. And then all I do is, instead of worrying about where the other one is at, I'm just going to lay this on top and cut it again. And this one is thinner. Okay, easy peasy, right? Then we have two 2x6 strips that I have scored at 1 3/4, 3 3/4, and 5 1/2. Both of them are scored the exact same way. But I have cut the edges off because I want to make my little pond not look flat. And I used the On the Farm dies, and I just used this little hill. So that's all I did. After I cut the 2x6 pieces and scored them, I ran it through my cut and emboss machine and took the tops off of those. So real quick, because I want it to look like a pond, I'm going to go ahead and use this water stamp and stamp those lines on all of my pieces so that they look like water. And I did that in Balmy Blue as well. Let's see, one of these is going to be, they're going to go side by side. So I think trying to figure out which way to do the water. Because when I did this one, I decided to do it after I already had this piece together. And so that was a feat in itself, trying to stamp on something that was glued together and bumpy. But, so I'm trying to avoid that now. So we're going to stamp like this and cross our fingers and hope that it works. We only need the edges that have the hole in them. Oh no, I inked on my onstage paper. I guess this is the last use of this onstage paper. I can't believe it lasted that long. Okay, that's all that needs to go on these. Okay. Now comes the fun part. Putting all this together. So, we want to glue our strip on the side that doesn't have the cut hole upside down and between these two score lines. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for both of these. Upside down. Better get my silicone mat. I'll have glue all over my paper. Okay, see there's our two score lines. Okay. Now we're going to flip these over, and I have 2 1/2" by 2.5" pieces of balmy blue cardstock that are scored at 1/2". And all we're going to do is we're going to put this through these slits from the underside. Remember, this is their underside. Slit needs to get widened a little bit. Okay. I just stick them out just a little bit, enough that we can put something on them. And I lay these flat. And I can't remember how I did that. Just like that. Okay, and we're going to add just a little glue here, and we're going to fold down this strip, and add some glue on that flap, not a strip. And then all we do is we fold this over on top. So now can you see that? It's stuck down, so that we can add here our frog on a log on there. But I like to move it back and forth both ways. Make sure it's sliding okay in there. Alright, we set that aside and let it dry, and now we do the other one. Okay, again, we're turning it around so that it's inside. And this is 1/2 by 2.5, scored at 1/2". And again, I didn't make that long enough. There we go. Sorry, rainy days give me the sniffle, so now I'm going to sniffle. Alright, so that looks good for an amount to have sticking out there. So again, we're going to glue on this 1/2" section where the score line is. And then we're going to fold this flap down, put glue on it, and then we're going to fold this whole half up on top of it. I think I saw in another video they called it kind of a baby's diaper. It looks like a baby's diaper. Okay. Again, there you go. Moving it back and forth. Okay. So now both of these sections, so I'm scooting everything away, we're going to put them together. But first, we want to take, I have a 1/2" by 3 piece of balmy blue, and this is 1/2 by 1.5, and we're going to make a T-bar or T section. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I try to eyeball it as close as possible. Okay. Now we're going to take this T and we're going to glue it right in the center here. And get it as even as possible, but it doesn't have to be exact. Okay. And now I want to put glue on this whole section. I really make sure I've got it on my corners. And all I'm going to do is meet the corners of these two things. And try to make sure that they're even. Look how fun that's coming together. Okay, and then all we do is glue our flaps. So this one is going to have glue here. And I'm just going to fold it back and put it right on top of the other. And I've got a little overhang, you can see. I didn't get this perfect. It's card making, right? It's handmade. It's not perfect. Now we're going to fold this flap back. Put some glue there. Ta-da! How much fun is that? Alright. Now we get to decorate. I'm going to go ahead and put my little flowers on first. And I've got all of the pieces here colored and cut out, so you didn't have to wait for me to do all of that. But, so I'm going to put flowers there. Lesson learned after doing the first one, put the flowers on first instead of having to go between all those lily pads and stuff. And these are just the glossy dot assortment. And obviously I use the small yellow ones a lot because they're the first ones to go. Well, that didn't work too well, did it? My glue's still wet on my flower, and my flower moved when I tried to do that. Okay. Go for those. Just gonna give them a squeeze here. Okay. Now we can start decorating with our frogs and our grass. So I have a log on the middle and a log on the log that's going to cover my flower. Oh, I know, I shortened that. That's why that's not working. Okay, so we're going to put this log sideways here because our frog's going to cover the edge. See how I left that sticking out because the frog will cover that. And now this log, I'm going to show you a trick. This log I didn't want as long as this one, so I cut it in half where it's going to be under my frog, and I glued it to make it shorter. I guess I got off camera there. All I did was shorten my log for my frog because we're going to put this little guy over the top and you will never know that we shortened it. Pretty cool, huh? Tricky, tricky. Now we can glue that there, but you know what I'm going to do first while that's drying? I'm going to take my little grass pieces, and these are from the Playing in the Rain suite. The Playing in the Rain. These are just the grass pieces out of that. So I'm going to glue those on the back. I think I'll start with the center one. There. And now we can glue our frog on the short log. In front. Oops. And I have a cattail, but you know what? This cattail by itself will be too long because when I close this up for mailing, I don't want this to measure any higher than 4 1/4 for my envelope. So I need to cut this cattail down a little bit. And that's what we're going to do. Just going to snip a bit off of him. I guess cattails aren't probably him or her. Okay. And now for our other frog. And our other cattail is going to go in front. I'm going to poke that one through a little bit so that it covers as much of that tab as I can. Okay, and then I have taken the wishing you everything wonderful because you totally deserve it sentiments out of the charming sentiments, and I've die cut them with their companion dies, and we're just going to pop those up on dimensionals for the front and the back. I don't want to go too close to the edge because it has some overhang. Okay, there and there. And when I got done, I was like, okay, so where am I supposed to write to my recipient? Well, if you bring this out of the envelope, I made a little square and it measures 1 3/8 by 2. And you can only see it if the card is popped down and flat in the back. So we're going to add that to the back. And I just realized I almost forgot my dragonfly. We'll have to put him on there too. But let's do our... I know you're going to have a short message. This isn't a big panel to write on. But it's at least somewhere to say a brief message, right? Okay. And now, not to forget our cute little dragonfly. And all I did was take a piece of very small piece of window sheet and glued him on there. He takes a little minute to dry on this plastic. I just snipped it off where I wanted it. Little dab of glue there. And pop him up behind the log. Maybe. I think it's sticking to my finger more than it's sticking to the log. Alright, and there you have it. I'm going to let this dry a little bit before I start manipulating it, but this one you can go both ways on these, but if you want them to fit in an A2 envelope, you have to tuck them down, like I said earlier, like a baby's diaper that someone had called it. So you could also put another one of these panels on the front or move that to the front. I just thought maybe I didn't want my recipient to read my message until they flip the card over. But anyhow, that is our Hexagon platform pop-up card. So, oh, and just so you know, these are the frogs I did with Parakeet Party and Granny Apple Green, and I switched the colors on both of them. But and the rest I colored with the Stampin' Blends. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it is very clear on how to do it. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.